that's
Yeah, having a roadmap is essential,
mhm.
and it gives you time to put money aside for what you might be looking at expense wise. And again, like I said earlier, making it less of a burden for your children when that time comes.
Mm.
Downsizing and paring down. And I work with a number of moves management companies that really are experts in what they do, and they make it so easy.
Dave Steinberg back with the Mortgages Made Easy podcast. We're here with Jenifer Ross. Jenifer is the unofficial mayor of Tarrytown, New York, and she is a fabulous realtor who focuses on helping seniors make adjustments. Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. So nice to meet you and have me on your show. I love it. So I came to Tarrytown about 25 years ago. I had an ex-husband at the time who wanted something to mow. And so I found myself leaving New York City and in a beautiful, small, historic town that was pretty quiet. I quickly figured out that I needed to do some other things aside from raise two small kids in my home and go a little stir crazy. So I actually ended up opening up a gallery in downtown called Red Wing Gallery. Some of the pottery that's left over is behind me. And through that store, I kind of got to have a name in our town for getting things done, whether it was Arts Council or creating events downtown, or with this gallery having different art openings. And I launched something soon thereafter called Tarrytown Third Friday, which lasted for about 15 years. I ran it for 54 months in a row, which was exhausting, but it was something that really got Tarrytown on the map. We were featured in the New York Times numerous times, and each event had a different theme, and had 45 merchants on board. So it was a full-on first night type event every third Friday.
Mm,
So I really got to know my town pretty well, and everyone got to know me.
great.
Yeah,
And within real estate, I understand that you represent both buyers and sellers,
I do.
but
Yeah.
your call line is what attracted. What's your call
Downsize your home, upsize your life.
line? Okay.
Older people and older homes is
Okay.
is where my love lies. So what I ended up focusing on this time with my real estate license is trying to niche myself in a market that helps seniors navigate the process of downsizing and then finding their forever home, whether that's going to be a smaller home with less maintenance and less cost, closer to a downtown, closer to hospitals and access instead of being further out into the suburbs, and then helping them make that transition of creating a home environment that's safer and more accessible as they age at home. So
Well,
it's sort of
let's look at
that
that a
process.
little bit more carefully. So you have a senior who might have been in their home for 20 or 30 years.
Mhm.
What's your message to that person?
Start earlier than later and don't let it be a burden to your children. Make it a choice instead of a forced upon you situation. Again, also as you get older, you're more likely to have a situation where you may not be as flexible, as agile, as mobile bodied, and you're going to want to take care of those downsizing aspects sooner than later. And take it day by day, take it in small bite-sized pieces instead of all of a sudden you've got to move. And what do you do with 30 years worth of stuff? So
Mm.
my encouragement is always to start sooner than later on these kinds of large tasks.
Right. So, what I'm hearing is that there are a lot of seniors, whether they're couples or individuals, who bought their home. Um, they raised their kids. The kids are out now.
Right.
And often they're in a home that's too large for them.
Mm-hmm.
And but yet they're reluctant to move.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to that person?
Well, it really often comes down to a very dangerous environment where there are steps, there are missing railings. There are things to trip over. There are, bathrooms and kitchens that are no longer functional or serving you. You can no longer go out in your backyard and garden as you wanted to. And there's so many other opportunities today and choices versus 30 years ago. You can go into a senior living complex today that is not a nursing home, and you can have beautiful meals and gardens, and you're not stuck in a room. You're in an apartment. It's independent living. There are so many flavors, and in Westchester we are just ripe with these kinds of facilities that are more and more every day you're seeing them. So it's a hard nut to swallow for a lot of people, but my boyfriend's father, kicking and screaming over 3 years of convincing him to go from his home of 40 years to a senior living facility in Ohio. And now he's like the mascot of his floor. He's got a girlfriend who's 94 and he's 90. He gets his meals, 3 times a day. He gets to play bridge with people all the time. He is not lonely. He is not feeling trapped. He is in an environment where he feels terrific, and he would have never have considered this without pushing. But now that he's there, he loves it. So I think, opening up your letting go of the stigmas of what these places used to be. And they really were places where you went to just, tuck yourself in and go to sleep. But they're not anymore. They're active, vibrant, beautiful places.
And so much of it is also about cost of living. Many seniors are on fixed budgets.
Yep.
And they're, I don't know what taxes are in Tarrytown, but I imagine on a nice.
It's crazy. It's, I think, on par with La Jolla. It's exorbitant. But with that in mind, so many times you can downsize to a smaller overhead cost-wise, smaller amount to clean, smaller upkeep, less taxes. You can go to either a smaller home, or you can go to a single floor, no step co-op or condo, where you have access to a lot of amenities, and then you can give yourself some support services. There are so many organizations, again, in Westchester, where people will come to you. They will help you with activities of daily living, bathing, washing, shopping. There's car services. You name it. You can surround yourself not just with people to help you with things, but also activities where you're picked up, brought to a place during the day. You get a meal that's paid for by the state. There's lots of programs where even if you're on a fixed budget, you can make it work. And that
probably applies in a different way to younger seniors, right? People in their late 50s and their 60s and maybe young 70s. They don't need the services, but nevertheless, they don't need that whole big house. They
exactly
and home anymore.
I recently completed my senior real estate specialist certification, which was added to my aging in place certification. So I'm armed with both of those. And one of the way they describe the different age segments are the go-go years and the no-go years. So the go-go years, people are still active, they're traveling, they're semi-retired, they're playing with their grandkids, they're taking care of them on certain days. I have clients right now that weren't available to go out tomorrow because they're watching their granddaughter. So, your go-go years are very different, and they can be at any age. It really depends more on your physicality. These folks are in their mid-80s and they're still in their go-go years because they're active and moving about. And when you're no-go years, you really are needing more assistance on a day-to-day basis. And that's okay. It's life is one giant transition. And as long as you're ready for it, it's okay.
And what I like about your approach is that you have the expertise in helping people age in place as well. So if I had a parent living in northern Westchester, I could call you and you could consult with me about how to make their home safer today and how to plan for tomorrow.
Exactly.
And that's a unique combination. Yes. Having the real estate expertise and the aging in place expertise is really fabulous.
Thank you. So the company that I've created around that is called Third Age Home. And of course, third age refers to that third act in our lives where we are of that 65 plus age bracket, but also, like I said, just not quite ready to tuck yourself in. You are still active and going to museums and planning your next business. So I do end up getting a lot of calls from children of seniors who are seeking help, and they might be in another part of the world and not have access to a parent, but they're very concerned about them because oftentimes it's a woman, their mother living alone.
And it seems to me that what you bring to the table is the ability to help people plan for life events, right? Because you have the real estate expertise, the gerontology expertise, and so that if you're a younger senior, maybe in your 70s or so, and you're not ready to move, but you've got to start thinking about transitions, it would be great just sitting down with Jenifer and having a conversation and saying, okay, so let's talk about a timeline. How long, how much longer are we going to stay in this house? When do the steps become an insurmountable issue? And I think that's
having a roadmap is essential, and it gives you time to put money aside for what you might be looking at expense wise. And again, like I said earlier, making it less of a burden for your children when that time comes. And downsizing and paring down. And I work with a number of moves management companies that really are experts in what they do. And they make it so easy to go through your home, room by room, and decide on what you are going to keep, what you're going to give away, what you're going to throw away, donate. Your items could go towards so many new home buyers, who don't have the means to outfit their homes, or, fire victims in our area. Lots of places where you can actually do some good and a mitzvah along the way while you're downsizing.
And tell me a little bit about Tarrytown. I've been through there many times. I've had conferences in Tarrytown many times, but I don't really know the town. What do you love about Tarrytown? I
always like to say that Tarrytown is the town that chooses you. I feel like you're beckoned here, and all of a sudden you look around and you go, oh my God, my tribe. It's just this very generous, accessible, non-judgmental. You could go down to the coffee shop in your pajamas and nobody would blink. It has just a generosity of spirit. I dare you. It's a generosity of spirit that I think you don't find many places. And maybe I'm just biased because I've been here for so long, but it immediately rolls out the red carpet for anyone that comes to town and makes you feel welcome. It's a diverse community. Interestingly, between Tarrytown and Sleepy Hollow, we have over half of our residents are English as a second language. And our school system actually has a program where it is dual language. And from kindergarten to 8th grade, the classes are taught both in Spanish and English throughout the day. So I have a lot of pride in my town that we are that place that is a melting pot, and we embrace all of the different people that want to live here. And we've got a thriving downtown. I've had numerous businesses downtown, including a co-working space for 5 years, an art gallery. I ran an event for many, many years called Tarrytown Third Friday. And if anybody is interested, they can join 10591, which is our zip code. It's a Facebook group page that I began in 2011 with 16,000 members now. So it's everything you ever wanted to know. We've found 1,000 lost dogs in 15 years. So it's great. It's we've got sort of everything there is to like. In fact, I started doing YouTube video shorts a few months ago, and I'm slowly getting through each town. So there is a pros and cons of living in Tarrytown. There's one for Ossining, Pleasantville, and what was the last one I did? I forget. So I'm doing one by one, the pros and cons in 60 seconds. And we've got it all. We've got the music hall, Tarrytown Music Hall, which is a historic icon that has a robust lineup of music and events throughout the year. We have a jazz club. Obviously Halloween in Sleepy Hollow is not to be believed. The parade this year was standing room only, 10 blocks in. So we get better and better every year. It's just, destination. And we have access to our waterfront, which a lot of Rivertowns can't say that they have.
So tell me about, is this a good time to buy a home in Tarrytown?
If you can find one, Our
Right.
inventory is so low that if you search this morning, I did a search for Tarrytown, Sleepy Hollow, single family homes, 15 came up, but more than half of them were above 1.5 million. So it's very inaccessible. Those are homes that are being built here, spec homes, and the rest, there's truly 2 homes within under 650, and one has an accepted offer and the other one needs a lot of work. So it's such a limited inventory right now. Even in,
Right. Aaron, we're going to try this again.
oh,
You're a little bit, you're being negative.
okay, I'm
So,
sorry.
so let's try this again. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Jenifer, tell me a little bit. Is this a good time to buy in Tarrytown?
If you're patient, it is. There is not a lot of inventory in the market right now, but it should be coming soon. We hope in our spring market. Fingers crossed. If you are willing to take your time and look carefully and perhaps put a little elbow grease into a listing, then yes, it is a good time to buy in Tarrytown, and it will be an investment that I think you will be happy with. Living in this community is a treasure.
Because it has a great town spirit and great people, and I bet the schools are great.
As an agent, I'm not really able to talk about the schools, but there's niche.com, which has a terrific summary of every school and gives it a rating. But my kids went through the school system and wound up in good schools for them. Teachers are wonderful. Activities, extracurricular stuff, they get a lot of funding. So there's a lot of AP classes for those kids who want to be on that track.
Great. And what about for someone who's thinking about selling? What advice do you have
About selling?
if I owned a house in Tarrytown for 25 years, would you tell me to sell now or wait?
I would say sell now, honestly. It is you're going to get a lot of demand. You're going to have, in all likelihood, a line around the door for your open house. You're going to have multiple offers on the table. You're going to be able to pick and choose the person that you want to sell your home to. Things are moving very, very quickly. Usually if something's put on the market on a Monday, it is at highest and best by the following, Tuesday after they have an open house for the weekend. So it really is a very quick moving market right now for homes that are desirable and in good shape. Though I would advise for anybody putting a home on the market to make sure that they have it market ready and that they remove as many personal items from their home as possible. They declutter as much as possible. I always recommend painting the front door, doing touch-ups. If you have things that look tired, try to replace them, even if that's taking older doorknobs and putting on something fresh and consistent throughout the house, updating light fixtures, swapping out plate covers, just anything you can do to make it feel fresh and welcoming.
So if houses are flying off the market, why do I need a realtor to help?
Well, there are a lot of moving pieces to any deal, and while you may be able to do it yourself, and I have done that myself in the past, now that I am a realtor, I wouldn't go it alone. There are so many areas where you can get into trouble, especially with due diligence. You want to make sure that you're going to have clear title, that all of the COs and permits have been done properly. You're going to want to pull a foil from the village building department or town village department to make sure that everything is in order and nothing was done under, without proper documentation. And then you want to be able to negotiate properly. You want to stay out of it. It's very personal. If you've been in a home for 30 years, you may have a very different slant on what that home is worth. Both, and the last thing you want to do is overprice a home. Then you really lose the momentum of the first 2 weeks of getting that home out there and priced and into a situation where you are receiving multiple offers. Timing is essential. It's key.
What's your superpower, Jennifer?
My superpower, I always look at the glass half full. I am a problem solver, and I love people. I want to see the best happen for everybody. I don't want to make waves where it's not needed. And I think there's a solution for everything. You just have to look for it. And sometimes it takes a little time, but it's always there.
Mhm. So you've talked about buying a home, and now you've talked about why a senior might list their home today. What happens after I sell my home? What happens?
So then it's a matter of deciding where it is you want to go. Are you looking for another home that's going to be slightly smaller and more manageable that you can move into and maybe make some changes? Are you looking for a co-op or a condo that's a little bit more less maintenance, less concern, more activities, more support? Are you moving to another part of the country, which I can also help someone do? With eXp Realty, we have 87,000 agents worldwide, and referral is a big part of their model. So let's take the first example where you're going to find another home that's slightly smaller. On one level, maybe you're looking for a ranch where you have a 0-step access into your home. What does that look like? And what are the kinds of things you should be looking for when you are trying to identify what homes might be more promising or more supportive? So some of the things might be, as I mentioned, a no-step entry or a few-step entry on any kind of stairwells. Even if it's just a few steps, you're going to want a handrail on either side. At your entry area, you're going to want to make sure it's well lit with automated lighting and a place to put down your packages as you enter. Again, these are things that either could be there or should be there. You want to look for an open floor plan so that if you are using a walker or one day in a wheelchair, that you have much, more open spaces than closed spaces. You want your doorways to be at least 36 inches wide. That is rarely the case in bathrooms of older homes. So you may end up having to widen some bathroom doors. You want your kitchen and your bathroom to be as safe and accessible and usable as possible. That means you want to make sure things are easy to grab and access. You want to make sure you have varied counter heights in your kitchen. You don't want your microwave over your stove. So there's a lot of things you can do design-wise that are going to make a home safer on a daily basis.
And having a realtor like you involved in the project means that you have an extra set of very, very knowledgeable eyes,
right,
who will tell you this is a good fit for you and
right,
this may not be as good for you.
Right. I'm dealing with clients right now who are in their mid-80s and they're looking for a 0-step home, something that has, covered parking so that you're not getting out of your car in inclement weather. They're looking to be downtown, a walk to the train. You really want to readjust what is going to make your life simpler and safer on a day-to-day basis. And being near resources and shopping and making it just, less opportunities for problems in your new home.
Got it. Now,
yeah.
So I'm selling my home and I want to buy that next home. What do I have to do today so that I'm ready to buy that home? Because you said we're in a competitive market.
Right.
So what process do I have to do that?
Well, I mean, once you've figured out how to pare down what you have and get your home, say it's already on the market and it's in the process of being sold and you're now looking for the next thing, you do need to make sure that you're going to have a certain amount of liquidity in the bank. If you are borrowing money, you're going to want to have a pre-approval letter because these days you can't even, you have to put in an offer. You need that. You want to make sure your credit is good. That everyone is going to check your credit and make sure you're, above 700 is optimal. 650 people will consider. Even looking for a rental these days, it's a tremendous amount of paperwork that they're asking for. In some cases, they want to see 40 times your income, 40 times the rent and income. And a lot of seniors don't have that. So what do? I had one client where we needed she was applying to the co-op board. And even though she had a ton of money in the bank, she had no income aside from Social Security. And they weren't going to let her finish her application. They were going to reject her application. And we had to set up an annuity so that she had proof of income. So it's a little bit age biased when you're buying sometimes later in life because you're not in the same situation. You don't necessarily have a big income anymore, but you have a lot of assets and wealth in some cases.
We encounter that a lot. And in fact, we do a lot of counseling of people who are, retired. Sometimes there are ways of structuring people's retirement accounts so that
Right,
you can accelerate, let's say, receipt of some of the 401k
right.
kinds of funds and use that to qualify.
Mhm.
And the key is, in a market like we're in, um, if I put my house side on the market on Monday, I might have an offer in a week. I might
Right,
be in contract in two. And even
right.
if I have 60 or 90 or 120 days to close, that still means that I
Still not
have.
enough. And you can structure your deal to say, I am not going to move out until I have a place to go. And we've seen that done. Um, one of the other vehicles that, of course, you're probably aware of is the reverse mortgage, which
Mhm.
sometimes, gets a bad name historically because people have, I think, abused it at times, but it is a good vehicle if people want to pull money out of their home. And you can even buy another home, I believe, with a reverse mortgage
So
as you're living
yeah,
in.
that's a great point. What I'd say is reverse mortgages work well, particularly for older seniors. And so the the challenge that I get involved in quite often is my house is on the market. I have an offer, and I'm going to take that offer. So I want to sell that my house. I may have enough money in the bank for the down payment, but now I have to bridge the time between selling my house
Right.
and whatever. And then there's the tax consequences,
Right.
uh, all that
So many
planning to
factors,
do.
yeah.
And you don't want to go into a purchase
Right.
saying, we'll see when I close, because
Right.
they may not deal with you. So
Right.
we have done quite a bit of work with your clients, right? People like, obviously, not no one in particular, but we've done quite a bit of work with people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who are trying to make that transition, and how to structure it, how to make a non-contingent offer on buying
Right.
while
Mhm.
still waiting for the sale.
Right.
It's a lot of fun.
Exactly. I actually had a idea for a company that I have reserved the website name called Interim Dwelling. And it would
Ah,
be just that. It would be a place where one could stay during those 3 or 4 months where you're not quite sure where you're going. And it would be set up in a way with, pack up your stuff, put you into this interim dwelling, give you supportive services while you're there. And then when you find a place, pack you up and move you over. So
mm.
I do think that there is a unique need right now because you don't want to miss the wave, especially now with the spring market where you're going to get top dollar, but you also don't want to be homeless, or in a place where, you're couch surfing at 70 years old. Not not optimal.
Yeah.
So this is
Jennifer, this has been a total delight. I've had so much fun talking to you. I'm sure
likewise.
guests will agree to that. If you're buying a home in northern Westchester and Tarrytown, etc., Tarrytown, Sleepy Hollow, you can't do better than Jennifer. And she's the mayor of Tarrytown unofficially. And I know you've got some surprises coming out this summer, and the best of luck with that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed being here and I look forward to speaking more and keeping in touch.
Thank you. This has been the Mortgages Made Easy podcast, and we're going to sign out now. Thank you so much for joining us.